The Union's plan throughout the Civil War had three main goals and stages. First, to establish a blockade of the South and prevent Southern trade with foreign countries, especially England. Second, to control the Mississippi and New Orleans, thus dividing the Confederate States. And thirdly, to capture Richmond, the Confederate capital, an attempt to demoralize the Confederate States and force the South's surrender. Unfortunately for the Confederacy, the Union was successful on these three fronts. Grant began his overland campaign against the Southern capital of Richmond in the spring of 1864. The best way to capture Richmond, he decided, was through destroying what kept the city sustained, their railroads. In the first stage of the Railroad Wars, Brigadier General August B. Kautz raided the Confederate rail facilities, creating disruption and chaos. On May 8th, a bridge that was key to the Petersburg Railroad was burned, and on the 12th, Kautz's division destroyed the station and tore up the coalfield track, which was very important to Richmond's railroad system. The attack was then continued and included Petersburg during the Battle of Five Forks. After the loss of Petersburg, the Richmond Railroad was free to fall. Jefferson Davis and the Confederate Army reacted by evacuating Richmond. Before their departure, however, they ordered the destruction of Richmond, and panic erupted. The government seized wagons and horses, leaving civilians stranded. The authorities then began to destroy any property that could be utilized by the enemy. They warehoused enormous amounts of whiskey. Due to fear that Richmond's underclass would obtain the whiskey, they destroyed the barrels. Whiskey then flowed down the streets of the city, and it was the end of law and order in the city of Richmond. Mobs rioted in the streets. Criminals were freed from the jails and broke into different shops and businesses. All that couldn't be looted was set on fire. Unfortunately, the government had already been using this tactic. The government set everything ablaze that could be of value to the enemy. The southern breeze, however, sent the sparks and flaming debris into other parts of the city. The flames engulfed the tobacco warehouses, the railroad bridges, the arsenal, and soon a large part of the city. Every bank, every saloon, and almost every press in the city was destroyed. Between 800 and 1,200 buildings went up in flames, and damage estimates reached $30 million 19th century dollars. The chaos waned down, however, when Union Major General Godfrey Wetzel made arrangements for the restoration of law and order under an occupation regime. And thus Richmond began its transition to Reconstruction.